Okay, my friends, it's Roger once again, and things are going to be changing here. So let's talk about this first, and then we'll talk about the changes. Now, this, if you've been paying any attention at all, Mudfossil University, you know this is a giant fish, and you know this is a giant dragon. Now, they have organ systems in them. Now, you have Google Earth. You can come up and look at this. I've shown it a bazillion times. I'm not showing it again today in any detail. Now, inside this dragon and inside this fish and inside all the other creatures like Tyson has on the west coast of the United States, they have digestive systems. They inject different types of chemistry, bile and acids, uric acid, and all different salts and so forth to break down the things in the digestive system. Well, when they die, that digestive system now continues to function in some manner or another, and let's look at that. Okay, my friends, I think I have reached a solution. This is Roger, and this is our Earth, and it is biological. And you see that? You see this over here? You think that just happened by accident? You think this over here just happened by accident? This is biological transition zones, and this is Alaska. All right, and I just happen to have been up here for a couple of years. There's my mountain right there, Mount Spur. I lived right over here in Anchorage. Now, this is, I could tell you right now, when I see these different colors in these lakes, you see the different color in that lake, different color in this lake, and how they change colors as they come in. That is from organs in a creature's body. I know you're going to say it's crazy, but that's what it is. Oh boy. Okay, so I have come up with a solution. I had done a bunch of videos, as you're going to see in a minute, that focused on how disastrous the situation is on Earth. And it was not taken serious. Now, this goes back 5 years ago. I actually had to close up, well, I didn't close it up, but I don't do this channel anymore because of attacks that I will expound on as this video goes further. But I'm not going to be doing any more comments anymore on any of this stuff. I'm just going to make my posts and, you know, take it or leave it, and go about your life, and I'll go about my life. Now, I am, though, going to go into health, and pretty much for kids and autism and gut health, because I've been studying that deeply. And this is all related, because the gut stuff that's bubbling out of here, this is methane gases, and that's because there's a source underneath, which is probably part of the digestive system, that is just like you do. You fart, and those are farts, and they come up out of here. And the same thing with the sulfurous gases and so forth, like here at Yellowstone. These are not just accidental things that happen. These are emanations from gastric juices and so forth that are in biological creatures. Now, let's go from there. But I do want to just tell you, there's no more comments going to be on, and please don't comment on these kind of things on the health videos. All right, it's from now on, it's just going to be, I'm just going to throw a few things up there every now and then. All right, I love you all. So see what you think of this video. Okay, my friends, I want you to see this, because this is really important you understand this. I had expected this would be looked into, and it just was ignored. And what you see here are blue holes, and these blue holes are all over the Earth. And those holes, I've come to find out, and I have the supporting evidence, and I'm sure it's correct. You know, I'd certainly like to have it looked at. It could be wrong, but I'd like to see somebody come up with a contradictory, factual disagreement. And if it is right, it becomes critically important. Now, these holes, I believe, are... This goes back to, this is 5 years ago. All right, this is August 2015. And I was showing the supporting evidence that the Earth is alive and in deep trouble, and not a single academic stood up. Not a single one.
The digesters for the earth, those are the things that feed the earth. And the earth, I'm pretty sure is alive. I know it sounds crazy. I sound like I'm way out there, but I have literal physical evidence to show that the earth is alive. And these holes digest food. I'm going to show you dives where they go right through, and it's identical to a digestive system. Now, these are what's happening in Florida and Russia. These are those blue holes dying. Now, these were underneath the tundra, and they weren't seen, but they still are the digesters. Now, as the tundra recedes, it's just caving in because the digesters are dying. Methane gas is coming up from the decomposition of the earth, of the life of the earth, is what I'm saying. Now, this may not be, don't panic. I mean, nobody's going to even pay attention probably, but certainly you wouldn't panic about this because we don't know. We don't know what's going on here.
All right, let me just explain to you. This goes back to 2015 or even earlier than that. And I had spoken to the Russians because these are Russian sea. This is Siberia, mysterious craters caused by the permafrost going away. And a Japanese guy saw the work I was doing. The Russians contacted him. He told them to contact me. So I discussed this with the Russians. I said, you're in trouble. There's nothing you can do. And now there was like 13 holes then. There's like 30,000 now. And there's nothing we can do. But not a single geologist paid any attention to this. Not a single one. And I contacted every one of them that I could think of. And anyway, we're still in the same soup we are now, and it's not being understood. And the only one that's even looking into it is like the TV channels. The Science Channel. There's two guys, Rob Nelson and Stephen Burns, I think. It's called Mysteries of the Underground, something like that. Yeah, I think it's Mysteries of the Underground, and they're looking into things like this, and I hope they contact me because I got a lot of information about this. Let me just play this to you, and you'll see why this is so important.
But there's the ones in Florida are virtually identical to this, virtually identical, and they're gigantic. And this is happening all over the place. And they're very bizarre formations. Look at these holes here. That is vascular entries into the earth from the digester or the other way around, I'm not sure, but they're vascular entries. And this exact same structure is seen elsewhere. And I will show you that. And it's hard to overlook, and if it is true, it's something that needs to be looked at. It may not be anything, it may be something. This is in the Florida sinkholes, and they call them sinkholes, but look at that. That is exactly circular. These things they're not like cracks and divots and things like that. Look at that thing. These are houses around there. This was a living blue hole. A life was under there at some point, and now it...
You see this? This is a lung. It's just a little lung, and what happens is when they leach everything out of them, they leave all of these alveoli holes. That's what you're seeing here. And this is exactly what is underneath Russia's tundra in that peninsula area that I was speaking to them about, and this is what's in Florida too. Florida is a lung.
It's collapsing. Now, I have a theory that the reason these things are collapsing is we've taken so much stuff out of the earth, something has to give somewhere. And I believe that's what's going on here. Now, is that killing the earth? And I have almost absolute unimpeachable evidence the earth is alive. All right, look at the structures in this, the stripes, the different dark and light stripes, and the oxides, the red oxides.
This is a mud fossil that I have here. And that is the muscle. That is the transition zone between where the muscle incorporates into the tendon. This is the tendon that runs down here. And of course it's broken off here. But that ran out to muscle. And the blood fed the muscle. I have so much information on mud fossils. It's overwhelming.
Up in there and everything. Now look at this.
Mars.
This is the same material, and this is on Mars. And look at what's in that material. You see what's up there, that spacecraft? That's coming out.
All right, that is exactly identical to a sinkhole if it was laying flat on the ground, and these are all the little tiny blood vessels going in to support the tissues that is the artery is feeding. That's a vein above it, and that's the return. They don't have all the little arms going in to the tissues. They're just sucking up big quantities of blood, bringing it back. Now, this is so overwhelmingly certain. And here, you know what happened? I started talking about Mars. They destroyed my channel because of all the flat Earth people. I had to close this, get away from this channel because of flat Earthers. And now the flat Earthers are taking over mud fossils again. I would love to work with Michael Tellinger. He's got a good audience, but you know, he's a flat Earth guy. And the Earth is not flat. And you can't deny that satellites exist. And that's what these guys do. They know there's no satellites, there's no space station. You know, how can you work with somebody like that? So you know, I'd love to have an audience, but I can't get an audience. As soon as I try to talk about the reality of the universe and the planets and so forth, they destroy my channel. So anyway, I'm back in the soup again. But anyway, listen to this.
From this rock up here. And I'm saying, and I'm going to show you in my videos, that this is a vascular entryway, and this is arterial vessels that are supplying blood to this tissue, which is muscular tissue. This red stuff, all that dust, is iron oxide from the blood that has dried. Mars is dead, and you should see the pictures in here. Go to this site, Journey to the Surface of the Mars. It will blow you away. They have all kinds of pictures of pyramids and skulls, and there's absolutely no question.
And as soon as I started talking about anything that it was not on a flat Earth, they destroyed me. And I know it's going to happen again. I know this is going to get destroyed, this video too. This really upsets me, but nothing I can do about any of it. Nothing I can do about any of anybody. I haven't found anybody that's willing to accept reality. So I'm sorry I have to go off on these little tangents, but it's very, very upsetting.
It was alive. I think is dead now. Anyway, this is my statements, and we need to look at what we have here on Mother Earth because we don't want to go this way. So that's the case. All right, you've seen the spacecraft. My statement is that if this hole was tipped sideways and all of this eroded away from that hole, you would still see these vascularization tubes sticking out, and that's what's happened in that crab. All right, this is a little concerning. 20 baby craters just started popping up near.
All right, this is when I started working with the Russians. By now, everybody should understand the Earth is alive, all of this stuff. Let's come up to where we're going through the blue hole dive. Well, let's just keep going. What the hell?
The giant craters in Siberia. This is the area in Siberia that's having this issue, right? All right, this is an article by Brianne Kirby, very, very nicely done. And she is exploring in a dive in a blue hole. And she says, I'd imagine that I was a tiny microbe moving through the gut of some impossibly large and fantastic beast, because she really literally was. And then she goes on to thinking of the specific topology of the blue hole, specific topology of the human gastrointestinal system, the mouth to the anus. Now, I have all of this stuff documented. I have all of this stuff on other videos. I have 9 videos that I'm explaining this, and I'm explaining the foliations of the Earth, the fabric of the Earth. The Earth is alive, and there's virtually no question about it. So something's got to be looked at.
And it never was.
This is a deep blue hole dive by Jonathan Bird. Jonathan Bird's Blue World, very, very good guy, and excellent on public TV, and here he goes. Listen carefully.
The bottom looks like it's sand, but it's actually a deep layer of silt. While Tim hovers high above the bottom to keep from kicking up silt, I perform a little experiment.
Listen to
Down on the
this.
bottom, I plunge my arm into
This
the
is what our
silt
mother
up to
is
my
eating.
shoulder, and it's even deeper than that. This is a layer of decomposing leaves and other organic stuff. The decomposition creates hydrogen sulfide, a deadly
Digestive
gas that
juice.
smells like rotting eggs. The water is saturated with hydrogen sulfide, and I can smell it in the water that seeps around the edge of my mouth.
All right. Now, at this point, I understood that these are digestive systems, but I didn't really understand the complexity of the surface digestive systems. This is a deep hole, deep blue hole, and it's sucking everything back out into the ocean. Now, on the surface of the Earth, where there is no ocean to suck the stuff out, whole different issue. There we can examine the biology of the chemistry. All right, the chemistry is different from your kidneys and your lungs and your pancreas and your liver and your anus and your digestive system, the different portions of the intestines. There's different chemistry being injected into these places to break down different products and molecules. Now I understand where that chemistry is and how it is shown on the Earth, especially in places like Yellowstone and so forth, which I've been doing. I'm looking into these volcanoes now because, and as a matter of fact, I'm looking into my volcano, Mount Spur. We'll be getting into that later. It's up in Alaska. All right, anyway, let's go a little further with this, because this is a digestive system.
We all know that smell.
That's the smell of farts.
All right, this is the final part I'm going to show you
Blue
about.
hole connects through a vast labyrinth of
That
caves
is
to the
the
inland
digestive
blue holes.
system.
And as we emerge into the open ocean, something looks weird. When the tide goes out, all the water from inside the caves gets sucked out into the ocean, bringing with it silt and hydrogen sulfide from the inland blue holes.
Poop.
It forms clouds near the bottom with a distinct line between the clear ocean water above and the silty hydrogen sulfide layer below.
Check out the mucus
What
from
you're seeing
mucus
here are the
membrane.
decomposing remains of forest vegetation which have passed entirely through the caves and out into the ocean.
That's nothing more than the digestive system. And you're going to see that this is where the salts and so forth and the acids form a layer between the water, basically, and these chemical solutions. And because they are so extreme, you actually have to coat the living organisms down here with mucus to keep them protected, and it does.
Sounds like digestive
Everywhere I
system to
find what
me.
look like strands of mucus floating in the water.
It is
It's most
mucus.
likely mucus secreted by the coral in response to the caustic hydrogen sulfide.
No, it isn't.
It's stuck on everything, including this gorgonian, which has closed all its polyps to protect itself from the hydrogen sulfide.
That is exactly what happens in our digestive system. These literally are the bacteria that are living in the membranes. They're called membrane-bound bacteria. And that's what this stuff is. And this filters out and brings out, in us, it brings back the moisture, clean waters and so forth from the poop solution. And it, earlier in the digestive portion, it extracts molecules from the poop that's flowing past it. And what it does is it injects chemistry into that to break down the stuff, and then it extracts, and then it comes down here and it pulls back some of the moisture out of it, and then the poop goes out, in this case, into the ocean.
As the tide carries the toxic water away, the corals will go back to normal. Finally, we head back to the boat, Tim and Mike
That's
hang
Mother
on
Earth
the
eating.
anchor line.
All right, now that was a long time ago.
I'm coming to
This
you
is-
today with some information that I stumbled
5
across.
years ago.
I'm not an expert in anything. I study fossils and deep earth geology and you know how petroleum is.
I tried to make it, you know, just a nice introduction to, you know, please somebody take a look at this. Nobody ever did. No matter what evidence I produced, nobody ever stood up. Now I'm going to tell you something. This is really funny because I talking about the flat earthers. They really destroyed everything I did. Now, at one time in the Bible, it said, let's say it says the earth was flat. I'm not saying it does, but let's say it does. That is possible. The earth was flat at one time because it was a spinning flat disk. But the ether that is in space, which all these particles, as it spun and spun and spun, it collected up that ether into itself, and eventually it incorporated enough where it popped into a circle. And that's exactly what would happen. It's what's called an accretion disk. It spins and spins and spins. Now, if there was no ether out there, there would be no round Earth. It would have just spun forever because there was nothing for it to scrub into. But guess what? Now they're admitting Einstein abolished the ether. Well, now they're admitting that it's back again. I've been showing that it's back. And that's the whole reason for our atmosphere and gravity and everything. They're coming around to believe all these things that I've been saying. And I think they're only reason admitting it because I've been showing the evidence. I've shown all this evidence. I'm not just making up these guesses. I'm showing exactly what I say. And they're finally having to admit to it, you know, in a very roundabout way. Okay, I'm trying to do this without any hostility, but I'm finding it very difficult. Now, the Earth is round. It's 100% certain. There was a time, I believe, yes, that the Earth was flat. It is not now. Now, if you attack my research because you can't see that there is a space station and there is satellites and there is rockets and there is other planets, then I have no respect for you, and please stay away from me. That's all I can say. I don't mean this in any nasty way, but you people with that attitude and that just compulsive drive to force everyone to say these things don't exist, you've destroyed everything I've tried to do. And I better just shut up now. Okay, my friends, it's Roger once again. I've shown DNA certified giant human body parts as this fingertip is. DNA CAT scanned, certified by an anatomist, 100%. I have shown this over and over. Now, I am in search of truth. Now, what's the opposition to truth? Well, there's the Big Bang evolutionists. They are opposed to truth, I guarantee you that. And then there's the people that say God did it, and a lot of them are opposed to truth as well. They have academic mind and the flat earth God mind. Flat earthers are the ones particularly that said God, everything's flat because somewhere they think God said the earth was flat. So they can look and say there's no space station. Academics can look and say there's no dragon, there's none of the things that I show. It's the exact same weak mind that is stuck on something that it doesn't matter if it's true or not. And I'm really upset about this for many years. And I have a video, next video in this today or tomorrow, will be about the destruction of the earth by both of these two minds. The academic mind and the flat earth mind are going to destroy the earth. Now, talking about the flat earth, at one time the earth might have been flat, because I believe everything it says in the Bible now. I mean, I just giants, dragons, everything now. And it does say, let's say it does say the earth was flat. I don't see that, but let's say it does. There's such a thing as called an accretion disk. Now, when the Earth started spinning, there was not enough debris around it to force it into a circle. So it had a flat accretion disk. Once you have enough stuff around it, you end up with this. You end up with something like this, where the accretion disk itself turns into a ball. So this is a flat Earth, let's say, spinning like crazy, and it's scrubbing around the outside. Sooner or later, it keeps scrubbing, boop, it pops into a ball. Now, it says the Earth was flat, let's say, and again, I don't know where they found that, but let's say it does. And it never rained. It does say that. I've had people tell me that it says it never rained until a certain time. And that also, I believe, would be the same thing. You would not have enough condensation to cause rain. And we know that the creatures were so enormous, I can't account for that either. So there's a lot of stuff I can't account for, but I can tell you right now, the Earth right now is round, 100% case closed. And I can also tell you that there are dragons and gigantic fish and all the other things that's said in the Bible. So I am attacked by both of these untruthful minds. An academic mind and a flat earth mind can accept something and can reject something that cannot be rejected. That's my issue. And the flat earthers have destroyed everything I've done. The academics, they don't care about anything. They just want to keep on telling lies to the students. Couldn't care less about if it's true or not. Absolutely no interest in truth whatsoever from academia. And from the flat earthers, they don't care what's true or what's not. They're locked into their stuff. So I've offended everybody today. Have a nice day.